Smithsonian meeting with the people from the Smithsonian, and unfortunately, the way the roads are, the people couldn't come out here because of the icy conditions. So they postponed the meeting until January, is what I'm told. So I'm just sharing that with the elders.
Are they going to go to Pullman? Are they going to YTC? I heard they're going to YTC.
Yeah, there's a work group. Apparently, we have a work group, and they're going to YTC to meet up with them in the city. So
Nice.
But the thing I was telling Judy is, how do they know these artifacts are from the Stoney Sioux people? Because when the government came in, they associated more with the Cree people. So this could be a Cree-made, what did you call it again?
Cree Kisamis or Kichimins?
Yeah, they could be from the Crees.
Could be.
It's a crime.
Yeah,
It's a crime.
it is.
It's almost like a theft.
Yeah,
Be taken out and then
because you had a Kichimin, now you don't because it's gone. Somebody sold it.
yeah. You know, that's like a relic in the Catholic Church, right?
Yeah.
You have a saint and you have a bone or a hair or something, and it's a relic. And actually, those relics have the power to bring God's grace. And that's how the Kijimis do.
Wow.
They have hair.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, I was really. They said they even found hair in some of them.
See?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's what it is.
It is. That's what
It's a relic.
So it's going to be nice. They had it when the working group went to Washington. They went live on Facebook. And they showed all this stuff. It was pretty cool.
It was important. They wanted a chief to be at the institution when they were officially opening the native part of it. Upon viewing it, we saw some artifacts that belonged to Alexis. I think it's very important for the youth because we're always kind of debating, we don't really have anything. We don't have that record of history.
Well, there's a number of artifacts, range from anything from weapons, jewelry, clothing, sacred objects like headdresses, Gichimins, medicine bags. It's those artifacts. I wondered, how did they attain this, right?
My name is Cynthia Chavez Lamar. I'm Assistant Director for Collections at the National Museum of the American Indian, which is part of the Smithsonian Institution in Washington, D.C. So there's two processes of having collections come back into communities or be near communities. One of them is through repatriation, and the United States has a specific policy for repatriation that only applies to federally recognized tribes of the United States, and that's called the Native American Graves Protection and Repatriation Act. But the museum of the National Museum of the American Indian, because we have collections from indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere, we also repatriate items to communities outside of the United States. And all a community has to do is to work with our repatriation department to make a claim, and research is done to determine how these specific items that are being requested to be repatriated, whether or not they do qualify to be repatriated. So there is a process in place for items to be returned to communities.
My name is Rachel Shabika, and I'm the Supervisory Registrar for the National Museum of the American Indian, which means that I do a lot of stuff that people don't know about. I deal with the legal contracts that are brought to me from gifts from people and loans to individuals and to institutions that are involved with the collection at the museum. Some. The museum holds over 800,000 objects in its collection. We can't possibly display all of them.
Yeah.
So it's actually a really small percentage that's on display in our museum. Thankfully, we've been able to put together loans to communities where there are more objects than for that community on display in the community. The Anchorage Museum has a great display of those materials, and we have loans to the Zuni community, to the White Mountain Apache community. We are preparing to lend things to the Cherokee, to the Shakopee. So, we try to do our best to get those materials out into those communities where we can.
¿Cómo estás? Muy bien. Welcome. I want to welcome everybody to this gathering. It's such an important visit. I want to acknowledge my relative Liz for leading us in the groundwork that was done, as well as my brother Rod, who was also a chief here, and my uncle Francis, who's also a chief in Alexis. And they carry the responsibility of looking after the people and standing on their behalf. And so I want to acknowledge them for being here, and as well as leading us in the ceremony and guidance. So I'm grateful for that. I also welcome our visitor from the East. Thank you for visiting us again. And as well as from the Smithsonian, we have people from Onway, our local town. We've done some work with them. But from the Smithsonian, it's such an important work that you do, and very precious items that you have out there, not only for us, but everybody else in the world, other Indigenous people. As you can see in the ceremony, it's still true. Like they're not artifacts to us. To us, they're still ceremonial bundles that are we're responsible for. And so I'm happy that this partnership that we've been building, it continues to grow, and that we'll find some peace going forward, and a place for these items to be closer to home. I acknowledge our chief from Paul. If you go back far enough, in our stories in our community, we were brothers. Our communities were brothers, and they worked together and they lived together in that good way. So as we sit here today, we sit here in that peace as well. In that.
There when you just Gipsakaamne, Ishin in Govijia Binanaha, it was a Gubijin. In a Kidapina, there was just what is Akidapina. To Kim, we just done the Hirabi Nimge, Snoyapche, what it was.
For the sake of our young, that they may view these items that were taken from us years ago, it would be very good for them, and for this I'm grateful and glad.
Oh, Nabi, Nekmon, when I guess was Namne, which you to Lobi, Toga you to be roted in, but walk Nabi, which again is no cabin, is women. Sanaha. Then it was a book in a what, which I was did.
Stories that were told long ago by the elders, they know why these things have happened, but to us it may be confusing and we might not understand, but that we have a chance to view these items is good for us.
How would the people from Halban or even the leaders bring a group down there? Who do they contact?
So it's through our collections department, so people that, in Cynthia's department, and we have a database that allows us to search and access objects by community. Additionally, all of our storage is by community, so we know approximately in the storage room where those objects are, and we can go and find what's been determined to be. Now, certainly we have a lot to learn about our collection still to this day, so there may be things in there that we haven't identified yet, but that's what's so wonderful about bringing groups of folks from communities into our space, is that you know, they can be looking at things and say, hey, wait a minute, that's and oh, you know, so it's moments like that that again help everybody.
Just that, you know, as a museum representative, it's really a great opportunity to be here today, to meet with some of the people and to hear from them how important these items are. I mean, you know, we do know that, but we don't. It's more important for us to hear directly from community members about the importance, because it helps us understand our job better. You know, because we live in Washington, D.C. We're very far from a lot of the communities that are represented by the collection. So, you know, to be in the midst of communities and community people is very important.